Hey friends, so this is a recap of what we did for CC Cycle 1 Week 5. For timeline, we did all of the hand motions. Judah falls to Babylon, temple destroyed. Babylon falls to Persia. Jews return and rebuild the temple. Roman Republic, Golden Age of Greece, Peloponnesian War, Persia falls to Alexander the Great. And we played the bomb game, which is when I put all of our cards up and I ahead of time picked one and put a little dot, which is the bomb, behind it, and then had the kids each pick one card and I would remove it, and then we would see if it had a bomb, and then if it didn't, we would go on and sing the song through again, and then let another kid pick, and then until they were able to find the bomb. In the past, we've done it where we played, and then if they got the bomb, it exploded, but this time they thought they would be clever and said, oh, if we find the bomb, we'll disarm it. So they wanted to find the bomb so they could disarm it. So that was good. And they did end up finding it in like the 6th try. So it was nice. For math, we did physical challenges again. We went over the 9s and the 10s. And for history, we did Tell Me About the Romans. And on my tutor board, I had written lots of silly things in place of the real words. So I wrote, the rebel resistance became the Galactic Empire when Anakin was crowned emperor in R2-D2. This was followed by the Jedi Council in C-3PO. The Empire divided into Wookiee and Ewok empires until Jabba the Hutt defeated the Wookiee Empire in BB-8. And so we listened to the song once and then tried to read the board. And then I said, oh no, the board, it's all wrong. You guys have to help me fix it. And so the kids took turns raising their hands and letting me know what was wrong on the board and then correcting it. So they'd go through and say the rebel resistance, no, it should be Roman Republic. So then I'd erase rebel resistance and change it for the right one. And we did that a few times. So we listened to the song over and over until they were able to pick out all the things, including the dates and everything. And we got it all sorted out and then read it the right way at the end. So we were able to do it 7 times. For Latin, it was the second declension noun endings, and I reminded them that it's to the tune of Dashing Through the Snow. And if you can think of Dashing Through the Snow, you're in some kind of carriage, and you might have 2 reins that you're holding on to. So it's the second, because it's 2, second declension. And so it's Dashing Through the Snow, and that's the song from, like the official song from CC that you can find in CC Connected as well as in the app. So we sang that through a few times. And then for science, we did what are the major groups of invertebrates? And for that, I just had hand motions. So for sponges, we pretended to squish sponges, stinging cell animals. It's like, ow, 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 something stinging me. Did this for flatworms, roundworms, made the shape of a worm. Segmented worms, we pretended that we were chopping something up into segments. Mollusks, we made a clam that opens and closes. Sea stars, and we made the shape of a star with our bodies. And then arthropods includes spiders, so we made a creepy spider with our hands. And then we did that a few times with some silly voices and hand motions as well. For English, we went through the prepositions, the ones that start with B, between, beyond, but, by, concerning. And we chanted it in the way that it goes when you listen to the official CC song, between, beyond, but, by, concerning. And we did that a few times, and then we went back to the very beginning and we sang from the beginning of the prepositions. And my goal was to just stop at concerning, but they wanted to keep on going because they know the whole song, so we've sang through the whole thing. And then for geography, we went over the Egyptian Empire, and the memory pegs was Egypt, like find Egypt on a map, which that one's easy to find. Everybody pretty much knows where Egypt is. And then the Nile River goes through it and it looks like a hand. And so the Nile River is the long piece and it runs from the bottom to the top to where the hand is. We talked about the Nile River Delta looking like the fingers of a hand, and talked about how a delta is a place where the river flows there, and that's why it's so fertile there. And then talked about how Upper and Lower Egypt are backwards to what we would think. So Upper Egypt is in the bottom of the map and Lower Egypt is at the top of the map. So just told them to remember that it is backwards than what we would think. For fine arts, we talked about 3-dimensional shapes and what a horizon is. So horizon is where the sky meets the earth. what a vanishing point is, which is a imaginary point that different lines might be going to give you the idea of perspective. We talked about overlapping. So if you have something in a painting that seems to be like in front of the other thing, that's called overlapping. And it also gives you that understanding that the thing in front, or the thing that you can see all of it, must be closer to you than the thing that you can't see as much of because it's covered up, right? The overlapping. And we also talked about how if things are closer to you, they're going to be bigger. And then if they're farther away, they're going to be smaller. And closer, you would have more detail. And as it gets farther away, there's less detail. It might get super blurry. And then we took turns. We made some 2D shapes, and then I let them try and figure out if they could remember from years past how to make it into 3D shapes. So I drew like a triangle, a circle, a rectangle, a square, and then let them work on it for a while. And then I showed them how you would do it, like how you would draw those lines to make a triangle and to look like it's a pyramid, how to turn a square into a cube, just using those ideas of 3 dimensions. And then at the very end, I let them each, I guided them through making a horizon line. I gave them new pieces of paper. I guided them through making a horizon line and using a vanishing point to make kind of like a triangle, so it's like a road. And then we made like big trees in the front and then smaller trees as they got farther away. And then I let them have creative liberties to finish out their drawing however they wanted. So everybody's looked different and it was great. We were able to see that they all understood. At the very end, I tested them on all these different words, like what is overlapping, what is horizon, what is vanishing point, and they were all able to tell me, which was really nice. Like they were paying attention, so that's awesome. For our science experiment, we continued speaking about pollution. We had oil that we put into water, and then we put detergent in it and mixed it up and saw that the oil broke apart. And we talked about how having that detergent fall into the environment could be bad for birds or just animals in general, but specifically birds because they have oil in their feathers and that's their waterproofing. And if that waterproofing breaks apart, then the birds are susceptible to getting wet and getting cold and possibly getting sick or sinking. And so we need to try to protect their waterways. And then we had another experiment. This was a simple one. We had rubber bands that went across, like around one finger and then across the back of their hand and around the other finger. And they needed to keep their other hand behind their back, and they had to try to get the rubber band off of their hand however they could. They couldn't use their mouths or their other hand, obviously. And so it did take them a while. Eventually, different kids came up with different ways of getting that off and having little hacks. But ultimately, we talked about how if we allow certain trash to end up in our waterways or in the ocean, that animals can get tangled and they don't have fingers or friends they can collaborate with to try and figure out how to fix that. And so that would be detrimental to our environment, and how we should all be good stewards of the earth. And I asked them what were different ways that they think that we could be better stewards and how can we prevent that. And they all had great ideas. They talked about community service projects, picking up trash whenever you see it, obviously not littering, like setting a good example for other people, possibly coming home and saying, hey mom, dad, let's change out the detergents that we use in our home to make sure that it complies with environmental standards so that it does not harm wildlife if it gets out. I know that if we live in the city water gets recycled. So whatever you're using, if you have city plumbing and all that, then you should be fine to use those kinds of detergents. But I know like we're getting ready to build a house and it has a well. And so all of the water, all the things that we are going to use that eventually end up going down the drain are going to drain out into a drain field outside, and it's just going to go into the nature. So we're currently in the process of researching and making sure that every single thing that we use in our home, like shampoos and skin products and makeup and soaps and sprays and detergents, like everything is environmentally friendly to be able to make sure that we're not harming the environment. So they may have come home and asked you if y'all can make some changes. So that's awesome. And then for review, we played Four Corners, which they always enjoy. It's kind of funny to see that as they've gotten older, since they are master's students this year, they really enjoy being quizzed because they're it might be their second, sometimes third time through this cycle, so they really know the material. And it's funny that they want to be in the corner that gets picked so that they can recite all the memory work, and they were just so pumped to do that. So I just thought that was funny. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm looking forward to next week, and let me know if you have any questions. Talk to you later. Bye.